this is Riley. I'm back from my trip in Mexico and it was awesome. As you guys know, before I left I put together an itinerary and I worked a little bit at learning Spanish. I don't learn as much as I would have liked to, but I learned enough to get by. I made a budget and I booked where I was staying with Airbnb. And all of this stuff turned out to be super useful because I was able to use my itinerary and budget sense to know how much things should cost so I could haggle for the right prices sometimes, which was super cool. But there were a few things that I learned along the way that would have helped to know ahead of time. One, if you ever need Wi-Fi while you're in Mexico, which you probably will if you have an international phone and you don't want to pay $12 a day or something like that, go to an ADO station, or ADO as you say it. ADO is a bus company in Mexico that is the first class go-to bus, and they have stations in pretty much every major city that you'll go into, and each station has free Wi-Fi. It was super useful for those days when I had forgotten to look up the address or how to get to my Airbnb ahead of time. That way I could know where I was staying. 2, stay hydrated. I knew that before leaving, but apparently I didn't know it well enough because the day after I got back I was bedridden because I was dehydrated and I had a fever and chills and it was awful. So make sure that you drink enough water, because even if you know in your head that you should be drinking a lot of water, you don't realize how much you're sweating in the humidity and the heat. Budget for buying a lot of water bottles. 3, so I mentioned the ADO buses. And the ADO buses, like I said, are the first class bus. So they're a little bit comfier, maybe they have better AC, but the most important thing is that they go from stop A to B and they don't take little stops along the way. So they're a little bit quicker. But I actually didn't like the ADO buses because they played really loud, obnoxious movies the entire time. They had speakers above every seat that blared the sound from the movie into your ears, so even if you wanted to sleep you couldn't. You would have to have earplugs. So my advice is, if you're going to take an ADO bus, bring earplugs because you will leave the bus with a headache. Your other bus options that you can buy at the ADO station are Oriente and Mayab, and these two buses, they will take stops along the way, but they're actually really nice. They're second class buses, but they are pretty decent. In general though, the trip went really smoothly. We had a great time. We ate a lot of good food. We saw some really cool ruins and swam in cenotes, which I found out that I loved. I love cenotes, they're so pretty. So that advice aside, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a video tour of my trip. So first day we arrived in Cancun. We didn't really do too much there. We went swimming, we walked around, we ate. But then the next day we got up early and we headed over to Chichen Itza. And Chichen Itza was, in my opinion, a little bit overrated. It was amazing, don't get me wrong, but it cost a lot in comparison to some of the other ruins that you could see. So if you're a little bit pressed on time, I would definitely recommend some of the other ruins first. After Chichen Itza, we stayed in a town called Valladolid, which was not too far from there. And Valladolid is definitely worth a visit. It was a beautiful town. The next day we went to Coba, and I absolutely loved the ruins in Coba. They spanned over quite an area, so you can ride a bike around it if you want. We did it by foot and I found that to be quite enjoyable.
Le sacrifice partiel de les humains.
And of course we climbed up the big Coba ruin, which was kind of amazing. And that night we stayed in an Airbnb called Casa Mango in the jungle, which was really cool. There was a little farm there. They were just pets, like pigs and birds. And in the morning there were some crazy bird calls that unfortunately I didn't get the chance to film, but they were really, really cool. We met some Polish friends at this Airbnb and they took us around with their car the next day, which was really nice of them. And we saw the ruins in Tulum, which were beautiful. We went swimming right underneath them, which was amazing. We went to another cenote. From Tulum we did a bunch of stuff. We explored, we ate, we went to more cenotes. They were just south of Tulum and they were really lovely. And we also went to a really cool nature park sort of thing called Muyil, spelled M-U-Y-I-L. And in my opinion, Muyil was really a little treasure. We loved the ruins that were there. And there was also a boardwalk that walked you through the jungle. And to a lagoon where you could have a picnic. Along the boardwalk there was also a tower which you could climb up. It was kind of rickety, so if you're afraid of heights you might never want to touch it. But it was beautiful at the top. It was just stunning. You could see the lagoon and over the jungle. And on our last day we stayed in Playa del Carmen, which was near Cancun. Really surreal town because it was only really made, everything that's there was only really made since 2002, 2005, even though it seems really well established. So it's kind of like stepping foot in the Truman Show. Everything is this perfect tropical paradise that is just completely geared towards tourists. So we had fun making fun of that. Anyways, it was a great trip. I'm not going to share all the details because it would take forever. If you have any questions about a trip that you're planning on taking, feel free to ask them in the comment section below. I will see you next Friday.